Let's quickly take it across to our panelists also who are joining us. Jay Dehadra is advocate on record Supreme Court. With us is Sana Rais Khan, celebrity and lawyer in the Supreme Court. Thanks so much for joining us. Jay Dehadra, I'd like to take you off with what Mr. Bains was just saying. He says that Supreme Court allows us the liberty to even put on subjects which are menacing on social media. Now, that's a very, very sweeping claim to be making. Is that indeed where the law stands?
The question is towards me, right?
No, the question is for Jay Dehadra.
I am absolutely appalled by what I have. I'm absolutely appalled by what I have heard in that interview that you did with Mr. Bains. Either that man is absolutely ignorant, or perhaps he is hand in glove with, forces that are inimical to India. I do not know which of the two it is. But I want to set the record straight on something right away, and just give me a minute or two to unpackage a few points. Now, this person, Jaswant Singh Khalra, now this entire movie is based on this individual called Jaswant Singh Khalra, played by Diljit Dosanjh. Now, let us please for a moment understand who this individual is, Jaswant Singh Khalra. He's being painted out, made out to be some kind of pious human rights activist who was a very good human being who highlighted excesses by the police and so on and so forth. But there are videos, reference to which you yourself made in that interview with Mr. Bains, in which this gentleman, Mr. Khalra, is seen eulogizing and calling Bhindranwale, who was perhaps the greatest militant, I mean the biggest militant of the Khalistani movement, and he calls him a national hero. This is an utter, absolute disgrace, Madhav, and I'll tell you for a few reasons why. Who were the Khalistanis? What happened during this period? 1746 security personnel were killed, butchered by the Khalistanis. 12,000 civilians were also butchered by the Khalistanis. Have we forgotten the Air India massacre, the Kanishka blast? Have we forgotten that India's Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was killed by Khalistanis? The Chief Minister Biyant Singh, former Army Chief Arun Vaidya, butchered while going to buy vegetables in Pune after retirement, was killed by Khalistanis. This is basically an attempt to whitewash, to sort of repackage the Khalistani idea to the youth of Punjab, Madhav. This is a very, very dangerous thing. And please understand, your viewers need to know this, that India's enemies, that is Pakistan across the border from Punjab, elements in Canada and the United States, are going to use every
Let me get a response. I think those are some very important points. I want Sana to respond to that. Sana, at the end of the day, the Khalistan movement was an attempt to balkanize a section of India. It is a movement that was perpetrated, planned. The militants, the terrorists were trained in Pakistan. We know all that background. So when you're talking about, and nobody's taking away the right from anyone to talk about human rights or, police excesses or unjustified killings. But the point is, when you decontextualize that, you give an opportunity for Pakistan to start talking about this.
See, nobody is questioning India's national security. I mean, let me be very frank on this. As a lawyer, I'll speak. If any film promotes terrorism, threatens the sovereignty of India or endangers national security, the government has every right to act. Okay, no doubt about that. But national security cannot become a justification for every restriction, because we are a nation governed by the constitution. The government says certain portions could be misused by anti-India forces. But my question is very simple. Which portion? How? And is there a direct immediate threat? So the constitution...
I can tell you, I just asked that question. There is a portion, ma'am, in which the then Chief Minister, Mr. Biyant Singh, is being assassinated. And it's being presented in a very glorified, eulogizing kind of manner. Now, is that something, an idea that you are comfortable with? That tomorrow a killing of a chief minister, is celebrated on celluloid in this manner? Is that acceptable to you?
Yes, because the constitution permits reasonable restriction under 19(2), which is not an excessive restriction. If few scenes are problematic, why take down the entire film? Why not just edit those scenes?
So then why not release it with those cuts? If those 127 cuts are subscribed to, are suggested by censor board, why not release it with those cuts or challenge it in court?
Why not adopt the least restrictive measure? Because that's what the doctrine of proportionality requires. Today, if you start banning content because it might be misused, where will it stop? You tell me. A speech, like for example, today is just a movie. Tomorrow it could be a speech, a book can be misused, news debate, journalism. Today,
ma'am, tomorrow,
does that mean?
Ma'am, tomorrow, if we have a situation where, ISIS or any such radical terrorist group wants to put out its content, are you going to say that is also justified in the name of free speech?
See, patriotism and constitutional values are not opposite. In fact, the constitution is very foundation of our patriotism. So I think a strong nation is not the one that fears a film. A strong nation is one that acts very firmly when law demands it and exercises restraint when the constitution requires. But national security, of course, deserves the highest respect. I'm not saying that. So does the rule of law.
Let me get in, Jay. The criticism of this entire episode is this, that, if the government had just ignored it, had allowed the film to go ahead, had countered it with facts strongly, perhaps this entire film would not get the kind of oxygen and publicity it's getting now. But by going ahead and trying to either pull out through various sections of the IT Act or other aspects of law something from an OTT platform, has the government ended up giving it a lot more attention than it deserved?
Who is this question?
Madhav, I disagree with that. And the speaker who spoke before me seems to have a very, very basic rudimentary understanding of how national security works. Propaganda is never ever direct, Madhav. Propaganda that is peddled by India's enemies, psychological ops, psyops as we call them, it is always subtle. The entire movie is a psyop package. The idea is to promote soft Khalistani sentiments. The idea is to promote this gentleman, so-called human rights activist, as the new Bhindranwale, as a new poster child for the Khalistani movement. That is what the idea here is. So what the government has done in this case, Madhav, is absolutely proportionate to what the threat is that India is facing.
All right, we have some breaking news coming in. I'm sorry I'm interrupting both of you. Jay Dayadra, Sana Rais Khan, thank you so much for joining us. This is a subject for a much longer debate as well. There are so many complexities and aspects